Hi, my name is Rex. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Cadenza Interactive.
And hi, I'm Dylan. I'm the community manager for Cadenza Interactive and Soul Survivor.
And today we're going to be talking about Cadenza Interactive's first game, Soul Survivor, which is a turret defense game coming soon to Xbox Live Indie Games channel as well as to the PC.
And what we have for you today is a demonstration of a 2 versus 2 competitive multiplayer tower defense mode that we've called Wars. So we'll go ahead and jump right in as our players get their beginning turrets up and get the basis of their defense going. This is a 2v2 player versus player competitive game. This is actually a 3v3 map normally, so you can play with a couple extra friends if you got going on this. You'll notice the left-hand side of the screen where our commander started off. The commander's the guy that we're looking through. He's placed his towers, and he's going to see these creeps directed into a mutual choke point with his enemy and his friends. His creeps will turn a corner here, and both players on this team will be able to defend. This is the gold team that we're watching. The white team is playing on the right side of the map. They're sort of over there in the distance, and all of these oil pipelines sort of form a zigzag up to the colony, and ironically, both teams are trying to defend the same colony, but with a different set of lives.
And this brings us into one of the core concepts, that you and your buddy get to play different archetypes or commanders, and each of these different commanders has a different set of turrets as well as support abilities, which we'll cover later, associated with that archetype. This wheel that's being pulled up here designates the different iconic turrets, so you can spend your mass, one of your primary resources, designated in the upper left corner as that green resource, to place down fixed automated emplacements, each with different mechanics of slowing or area of effect damage or any number of different types to thwart any of the incoming enemies. These different turrets also have different levels associated with them that both enhance their visual appeal by upgrading through these levels, as well as they take down or they enhance the mechanics or damage range, whatever, of that turret by going through those upgraded levels.
And going into what Rex was saying about the wheels, you'll notice a lot of flashing in this game between different UIs. We wanted to make sure that the UI was not cumbersome, and that seems a little bit difficult on the Xbox for a strategy game. We think we've approached it in a pretty elegant way, which is each trigger will give you control over a different aspect of the game. The left trigger, right trigger, or in tandem, both triggers will either give you command of your support, your towers, or your creep placement in Wars. The creep placement is unique to Wars, and the use of that UI with the right stick means that you can very quickly select what it is you want to do with a nice bright icon, release it, place your tower, use your support, send your creeps, and move on to the next thing. You won't have to spend a lot of time fumbling with the UI.
Now, one of the cool features of this Wars mode is that every one of these units on the screen is sent by the opposing team to attempt to make it down this path to the support to take one of your lives or souls, and that's eventually how the game is won. As time progresses throughout this mode, you'll notice the dialog boxes popping up in the upper left corner, designating that you have either gained a rank, which gives you access to new enemies that you can send at the opposing team, or potentially more powerful support that you can use to stop any of the creeps from getting to the end.
Now, if I'm watching this video and taking in Soul Survivor for the first time, my first question would be, what is with the red beams coming out of the sky? And the quick answer to that is one of our primary support abilities. That's the orbital laser. The sort of lore behind support is that it's being fired from an orbital battle station or perhaps a fleet battleship, and you can call that down to aid you in the battle. We've got, of course, the lasers. We have some missiles, artillery, but then we have some support abilities, things which will remove shields or slow down creeps, even some which will find low health creeps and kill them over the entire screen, depending on how weak they are.
And that dialog box that you just saw coming up there is one of the features of this commander. As the game progresses in Wars, those commanders gain those levels, get access to that support, and get access to more powerful support. So in the single-player campaign, which stretches across 4 planets and 5 levels per planet, you're able to use a host of different support abilities, towers, and different archetypes together. But in the multiplayer, you get a lot more team play, where potentially you've got one commander, like we're about to see here, who's going to be able to drop some mines, which take a while to deploy, while the second commander drops down a fear bomb, which forces those units to move back along the path, and you can get some really unique combinations of destructive power.
With Soul Survivor, we've worked really hard in development to make towers unique and to make it so that no one tower can carry you through a defense. And that's being illustrated here by our gold team commander. We have 3 towers that really do make up the backbone of his defense, and what you'll notice is a green goo being sprayed that's slowing creeps up as they approach the other 2 towers, as well as sort of the base tower there, the high damage Tesla tower. We have a flamethrower which does high damage as well as damage over time, and a radiation tower which causes creeps to take extra damage from all other types of damage while they're irradiated.
And each of these is selected because the players themselves have chosen a unique commander before entering the game, and that designates a loadout of turrets and support abilities that they can use either together or set up their own synergies to really bring decimation to the enemy.
And as we go through this, you'll see a lot of different creeps. The creeps are really important because we've tried to make them unique among each other. At no point will you just have a blob of creeps that don't really mean anything against the defenses that they're encountering. We have creeps which are high speed, we have creeps which can fly, we have creeps which alternate between flying and walking, and that's just really our basic flavors. The gold commander we're watching through is going to come over here and watch a wave get sent, and you'll see him select some roaches that he's going to send out, as well as a couple of our speedy bikes, some ramtors, and some hover scouts. And this wave you'll get a good look at right here is going to incorporate some speed in the ramtors and the bikes, a little bit of fodder there in the hover scouts, but also that jumping roach. And what that roach enables is a little bit of random chance that you might get over some of the ground-based defenses. And this early in the game, most of the defenses are going to target ground.
And just as important as the creep management that Dylan was talking about, you also have to manage your support abilities and your energy. So while you're sending your creeps by spending your mass, you're also going to have to stop any stragglers that might be making their way toward your final base to take a couple lives off or to take those souls. So what you have to do is you have to make sure that you're not spending too much of that support resource, that blue energy resource up at the top there, or else you're not going to be able to stop a later wave by using it. And as you progress throughout the levels, like what we're seeing here, you're going to get access to new support abilities. So your support abilities that used to do a certain amount of damage might now be able to do more damage with even less energy. So it's really the amalgamation of that resource management that allows you to succeed. And
we've made sure in Soul Survivor that you don't spend a lot of time worrying about your resources, except for what do I have and what can I spend. At no point do you have to go and gather resources. You have a couple of ways that you can get them. Every creep that you kill yields a small amount of mass, but also in wars you have bounty and upkeep, which combine to form your income. You receive bounty for every creep that you send at your opponent, and you receive upkeep for every tower that you build. Upkeep actually stunts your income because we want to encourage players to send a lot of creeps. We want to encourage players to defend their base with less and send more creeps at their enemy, because if it was a turtle versus turtle match in Soul Survivor, it wouldn't be particularly entertaining. We are looking to reward players that are aggressive, that use their support well, and that build at the most opportune places to do more with less.
So here on the screen we see a lot of that custom tailoring of waves and building a nice and even defense, because this commander is deciding to choose a lot of air units and push those through, because he knows that the player that he is fighting against has not built a lot of anti-air turrets.
And you're about to see one of the more interesting tech tree features of this game. We try not to have a whole lot of tech tree in Soul Survivor, but you have escalation, which happens at set points in the level. Escalation is an opportunity to spend a little bit of mass in exchange for tougher creeps and tougher support. When you do escalate the battle, you gain access not only to creeps that are harder to kill, but creeps that might have other abilities. Creeps that can tank damage for other creeps, or creeps which can shield or cloak, or which will deploy other enemies when they die. There's a whole host of options that come with escalation.